The champagne was still fizzing in my glass when my wife Dana decided to destroy our 25-year marriage with a single drunken confession. "You know what, Harold?" she slurred, swaying against the country club's marble pillar while our son Miles danced with his new bride across the reception hall. "I should have married Victor Lane instead of you back in college." Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Victor Lane. The sleazy used car dealer who'd been openly staring at my wife all evening, his gold chains catching the chandelier light every time he leaned in to whisper something in her ear. I'd watch them for hours, my jaw clenched tighter with each stolen touch, each lingering glance. "Is that so?" I kept my voice level, though my knuckles were white around the crystal stem. Dana giggled, the sound sharp as breaking glass. "Oh, absolutely. Victor was so much more exciting. Still is, actually." She traced her finger along the rim of her wine glass, eyes locked on mine with cruel satisfaction. "You were just the safe choice, Harold, the accountant with the steady paycheck and the boring little house." The country club buzzed with conversations and laughter around us, but I felt like we were in a vacuum. 25 years of marriage, 2 kids, a mortgage, shared dreams, all of it crumbling while some jazz quartet played in the background. "You married me for money," I said. "It wasn't a question. Smart girls marry for security, not love." She took another sip, lipstick leaving a red stain on the glass. "Though I have to admit, Victor's looking pretty successful these days. That new Cadillac of his, the fancy suits." My phone buzzed. A text message. I glanced down. The message was from Victor Lane. "Finally ready to leave that boring bastard? My hotel room is 237. He'd sent it to me by mistake. Meant for Dana. I looked up at my wife, who was now openly staring at Victor across the room. He was adjusting his tie, completely oblivious to his error. Dana hadn't seen my phone. "Excuse me," I said, pocketing the device. "I need some air." "Don't be such a drama queen, Harold." Dana waved dismissively. "It's just honesty. You should try it sometime." I walked out of the reception hall with measured steps, nodding politely to relatives and family friends who tried to engage me in conversation. My son Miles caught my eye from the dance floor and started toward me, but I shook my head and kept walking. Outside, the October air was crisp against my face. I sat in my Honda Civic, practical, reliable, boring Harold's boring car, and stared at Victor's text message. The evidence of my wife's betrayal glowed on the screen like a neon sign. 25 years. 25 years of working 60-hour weeks to pay for her flower shop that never turned a profit. 25 years of her complaints about our modest house, our ordinary vacations, my predictable nature. 25 years of me believing that steady love and financial security meant something. I started the engine and drove home, leaving my cheating wife at our son's wedding reception. In my rearview mirror, I could see the country club's windows blazing with warm light, full of people celebrating new beginnings. Time for me to plan one of my own. I spent that night in my home office, surrounded by financial documents and legal papers, doing what I do best, accounting. But instead of balancing books for my clients, I was calculating the true cost of my marriage. Dana stumbled in around 3 a.m., reeking of wine and Victor's cologne. She found me at my desk, spreadsheets covering every surface. "What are you doing?" she demanded, swaying in the doorway. "Inventory," I replied without looking up. "Turns out I own or co-signed for everything in your life, Dana. Your flower shop lease, the utilities, the business credit cards, even that BMW you drive. Interesting how that works." She moved closer, squinting at the papers. "You can't just... Can't what? Cancel services I pay for? Close accounts with my name on them?" I finally looked at her, this woman I'd loved for half my adult life. "Actually, I can do exactly that." "Harold, you're being ridiculous. It was just wedding talk. Too much champagne?" I held up my phone, showing her Victor's misdirected text. Her face went white beneath her makeup. "Room 237, I said quietly. "Were you planning to visit him tonight, or wait until tomorrow?" Dana's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Finally, "It's not what you think." "It's exactly what I think." I turned back to my computer. "I've transferred all joint funds to accounts with only my name. Your flower shop's lease expires next month. I won't be renewing it. The BMW payment is due Tuesday. I've canceled the automatic withdrawal." "You bastard!" She lunged forward, trying to grab the papers, but I'd already moved them out of reach. "You can't destroy my business." "Your business?" I laughed, the sound bitter in my throat. "Dana, you've never turned a profit. I've subsidized your little hobby for 15 years. Consider this my resignation as your personal bank." She started crying then, mascara streaming down her cheeks. Once, those tears would have broken my heart. Now they just annoyed me. Harold, please, we can work this out. It was a mistake, a moment of weakness. 25 years of weakness. I stood up, gathering the most important documents. I'm sleeping in the guest room. Tomorrow you can explain to your boyfriend why his sugar mama just went broke. I left her sobbing in my office and went upstairs. Through our bedroom window, I could see Victor's house 3 blocks away, his Cadillac gleaming in the driveway under the streetlight. By morning, I had a plan. Monday morning, I drove to Victor's car lot instead of my office. Lane's Auto Sales sat on a corner lot downtown, surrounded by colorful flags and hand-painted signs promising best deals in town. The cars looked decent from a distance, but up close you could see the rust spots hidden under fresh paint, the worn tires disguised with tire shine. Victor was in his office, visible through the plate glass window, talking on the phone with his feet up on his desk. He wore another expensive suit, probably bought with money from the suckers who fell for his sales pitch. I parked across the street and called my friend Bradley Ross. Brad used to be a cop before he bought Murphy's Tavern, the dive bar where half the town went to drink and gossip. Harold, what's up, buddy? Brad, what do you know about Victor Lane? The car dealer, sleazy as they come. Why? He's screwing my wife. Silence on the line. Then, Jesus, Harold, I'm sorry. What do you need? Information. Dirt. Anything that might be useful. Give me a day. I'll ask around. After hanging up, I sat watching Victor's operation. Customers came and went, most leaving with disappointed expressions. A few drove off in used cars that probably wouldn't last 6 months. My phone rang. Dana. Harold, the power's been shut off at the shop. And the water. What did you do? I stopped paying bills that aren't mine. You're destroying 15 years of work. 15 years of losses. I ran the numbers, Dana. Your shop has cost us over $200,000. That's money we could have used for our kids' college funds, for retirement, for actual investments. I have 3 weddings this weekend. I can't do flowers without electricity. Maybe Victor can help. I hear he's very successful these days. She hung up on me. I drove to the hardware store and bought a dozen roses, the cheap kind, already wilting. Then I returned to Victor's lot and waited until he stepped outside to talk to a customer. His precious Cadillac was parked in the owner spot, pristine white with custom rims. I walked up to it casually, placed the fading roses on the windshield, and used my car key to scratch a message into the paint on the hood. For old time's sake, H. Then I got back in my Honda and drove away. Brad called that evening with a treasure trove of information. Victor Lane's in deep shit, he said. Owes money all over town. The IRS has been sniffing around his books, and word is he's been rolling back odometers on his cars. Plus, get this, he's still married. Wife lives in Florida, but they never divorced. She just got tired of his cheating and moved away. Still married? Yep. So if he's promising your wife anything about a future together, he's lying through his teeth. I felt a grim satisfaction. Anything else? His business license expires next month, and there's some question about whether the city will renew it. Apparently he's behind on his lot fees. After hanging up, I called my son Miles. He answered on the first ring. Dad? Mom called, crying about her shop. What's going on? I told him everything. The wedding night confession, Victor's text, Dana's betrayal. Miles listened without interrupting. Dad, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Your mother made her choice. Now she gets to live with the consequences. What about Tessa? My daughter was 25, an Instagram influencer with 10,000 followers and the emotional depth of a puddle. She adored her mother and had always seen me as the boring parent who worked too much. Tessa will side with your mother. She always does. This is going to get ugly, isn't it? It already is ugly, son. I'm just evening the score. The next morning, I drove past Dana's flower shop. She was there with her business partner, Sonia Firth, a sharp-faced woman who'd never liked me. They were trying to arrange flowers by candlelight, the shop dark without electricity. I parked and walked in. Harold, Sonia snapped. Look what you've done. This is childish. This is business, I replied. Dana, I need you to sign these papers. I handed her a folder. Inside were documents transferring her half of our house to me, along with her car title and business assets. I'm not signing anything, she said, not even looking at the papers. Then you'll lose everything anyway, just more slowly and expensively. This way, you keep your personal belongings and your dignity. My dignity, she laughed bitterly. You destroyed that when you shut off my utilities like some petty tyrant. You destroyed it when you decided to cheat on me with a married con man. Sonia stepped between us. Victor's not married. Check the public records in Hillsborough County, Florida. Victor Lane, married to Rebecca Lane in 1995. No divorce decree on file anywhere. I watched the color drain from Dana's face. She finally looked at the papers in her hands. I need time to think. You have until Friday. After that, I file for divorce and let the lawyers sort it out. Trust me, that'll be much more expensive for everyone. By Thursday, word of our marital drama had spread through town like wildfire. I couldn't go anywhere without getting sympathetic looks from some people and hostile glares from others. The annual Harvest Festival was that weekend, and I knew it would be the perfect stage for the next act of this drama. Dana still hadn't signed the papers. That evening, I was at Murphy's Tavern having a beer with Brad when my old friend Tom Martinez walked in. Tom and I had been close for years, golf buddies, poker night regulars, the kind of friendship built on decades of shared experiences. He saw me and his face hardened. Instead of his usual friendly greeting, he walked straight up to my table with his jaw set. "Harold," he said coldly. "Tom, how's it going?" "How's it going?" He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "My wife just spent 2 hours on the phone with Dana, listening to her sob about how you're destroying her life. Cutting off her electricity? Really?" Brad shifted uncomfortably beside me. "Tom, maybe you don't know the whole story. I know Harold's acting like a vindictive child instead of handling this like a man." I felt heat rise in my chest. "A man? You want to know what a man does, Tom? A man works 60 hours a week for 25 years to support his family. A man pays for his wife's failing business without complaint. A man doesn't cheat on his spouse at his own son's wedding. Dana made a mistake. Dana's been screwing Victor Lane for months. She told me herself she should have married him instead of me. For money, Tom. She married me for money, and now she's trying to leave me for what she thinks is better money." Tom's certainty wavered slightly. "Look, marriage is complicated." "No, it's not." I stood up, facing him directly. "You either honor your vows or you don't. Dana chose not to. Now she gets to face the consequences. By destroying her business, by humiliating her in front of the whole town, by stopping my financial support of her affair." My voice was getting louder, and other patrons were starting to stare. Every dollar I gave her was a dollar she could spend on hotel rooms with Victor. Every bill I paid was one less thing she had to worry about while she was planning to leave me. Tom shook his head. "This isn't the Harold I know. The Harold I know would try to work things out, go to counseling, be the bigger person. The Harold you knew was a fool who thought his wife loved him. So now you're going to destroy her out of spite? I'm going to stop being her ATM. If that destroys her, maybe she should have thought of that before she started cheating." Tom stared at me for a long moment. "I can't support this, Harold. What you're doing is wrong." He turned and walked away. Brad watched him go, then looked back at me. "That's going to happen a lot," he said quietly. "I know." But I didn't realize how much it would hurt. By Friday morning, 3 more friends had called to tell me they couldn't be around me anymore. Apparently Dana and Sonia had been working the phones, painting me as an abusive husband who was financially terrorizing my poor, innocent wife. The story they were telling bore little resemblance to reality, but it was compelling. Harold, the controlling husband, cutting off his wife's livelihood because she'd had too much to drink at a wedding and said some things she didn't mean. Harold, the vindictive ex, destroying a woman's business out of pure spite. They left out the part about the affair, the hotel room, the months of deception. My daughter Tessa posted a long Instagram story about toxic masculinity and financial abuse, never mentioning my name, but making it clear who she was talking about. The comments were brutal. "Your dad sounds like a psychopath. Get your mom a good lawyer. Men like this should be in jail." I was sitting in my office, trying to focus on work, when my phone rang. The caller ID showed my old poker buddy, Jim Stevens. "Harold, we need to talk. If this is about Dana, it's about poker night. The guys... We think you should take a break from the game for a while." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Our poker group had been meeting every Thursday for 8 years. These weren't just casual acquaintances, they were my closest friends. A break? Until you get your head straight. What you're doing to Dana? It's not right, man. We can't just sit around playing cards and pretending everything's normal. Jim, she cheated on me. She's been planning to leave me for another man. That's between you and her? But cutting off her business, destroying her livelihood? That's just cruel. I'm not destroying anything. I'm just not paying for it anymore. Same difference. No, it's not. I was gripping the phone so hard my knuckles ached. If her business can't survive without my subsidies, then it's not a real business. It's an expensive hobby. Harold, listen to yourself. You sound bitter and angry and... I am bitter and angry. My wife of 25 years has been cheating on me, and now everyone's acting like I'm the villain for not wanting to finance her betrayal. Nobody's saying you have to stay married to her, but there are right ways and wrong ways to handle divorce. And what's the right way, Jim? Pay for her lawyer too? Keep funding her flower shop while she's screwing around with Victor? Smile and be the bigger person while she destroys our family? The right way is to act like an adult instead of a spoiled child. That was it. 25 years of friendship gone. Go to hell, Jim. I hung up and sat staring at my phone. In 1 week, I'd lost my wife, my daughter's respect, and most of my friends. The only people still speaking to me were Miles and Brad, but I wasn't backing down. The Harvest Festival was the town's biggest social event of the year. Main Street was closed to traffic, lined with booths selling everything from homemade crafts to kettle corn. A small stage at the center hosted local bands and community announcements. I almost didn't go. The prospect of facing all those hostile stares, all those former friends who now saw me as the villain in Dana's sob story, was daunting. But hiding would only confirm their narrative that I was ashamed of my actions. I wasn't ashamed. I was angry, hurt, and determined to set the record straight. I arrived around noon, wearing my best suit, not because I was trying to impress anyone, but because I wanted to look like a man in control of his life. The festival was crowded, families with children weaving between booths while teenagers clustered around the food trucks. I'd been walking for maybe 10 minutes when I spotted them, Dana, Sonia, and Victor, standing near the craft beer booth like they were holding court. Dana wore a flowing dress that probably cost more than most people's weekly salary, and Victor had his arm around her waist possessively. Several people surrounded them, including Tom Martinez and his wife, Jim Stevens, and a few other former friends. They were all nodding sympathetically as Dana spoke, her voice carrying over the festival noise. Just cut off everything without warning. The electricity, the water, even my business credit cards. 15 years of building my shop, and he destroyed it in one day out of pure spite. That's horrible, Tom's wife said, patting Dana's arm. No woman should have to endure financial abuse. I keep telling her she should call the police, Sonia added. What Harold's doing has to be illegal. I walked closer, staying just outside their circle. Victor saw me first, his face hardening into a sneer. Well, look who decided to show his face. The group turned toward me, their expressions ranging from uncomfortable to openly hostile. Dana's eyes were red-rimmed, playing the victim perfectly. Harold, she said in a small, wounded voice, I didn't expect to see you here. It's a public festival, Dana. I have as much right to be here as anyone. Do you? Victor stepped forward, puffing out his chest like a bantam rooster. After what you've done to this woman, a real man would be ashamed to show his face. A real man? I laughed. Is that what you call someone who seduces married women and lies about his own marital status? Victor's face flushed red. What the hell are you talking about? Rebecca Lane, your wife in Florida. Remember her? Or have you forgotten to mention her to Dana? The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Dana looked confused. Victor's not married, she said uncertainly. I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshot I'd taken from the public records database. Married in 1995, no divorce decree on file. He's been lying to you, Dana. Victor lunged forward, trying to grab my phone, but I pulled it back out of reach. That's ancient history, he snarled. Rebecca and I haven't lived together in years. But you're still legally married, which makes you a bigamist if you marry Dana. You snake. Victor, is this true? Dana's voice was small, uncertain. It's complicated, baby. The divorce papers got held up in legal red tape, but you lied to her. I looked around the circle of faces, some of which were starting to show doubt. Just like you've been lying about your business success. How much do you owe the IRS, Victor? How many of those cars on your lot have rolled back odometers? Harold, stop it, Tom said, but his voice lacked conviction. Stop what? Telling the truth? You all want to paint me as the villain for not funding my wife's affair, but nobody wants to talk about what she actually did. I turned to address the growing crowd of onlookers. My wife of 25 years told me at our son's wedding that she should have married Victor instead of me. She said she only married me for money, her words, not mine. Then I found out she's been cheating on me with this married con man who's been feeding her lies about his success. Harold, please, Dana started. Please what? Please keep quiet while you destroy our family? Please keep paying your bills while you plan your exit strategy? My voice was getting louder, drawing more attention. People were pulling out phones, recording the confrontation. I worked 60 hours a week for 25 years to support this woman and her dreams. I paid for her failing business, her expensive clothes, her BMW, everything she wanted, and the whole time, she was planning to leave me for someone she thought had more money. That's not true, Dana protested, but her voice cracked. Then explain Victor's text message. I held up my phone again, showing the screenshot of his misdirected message about the hotel room. Explain why you were planning to visit room 237 at the Marriott after our son's wedding, the crowd murmured, phone still recording. Dana's carefully constructed victim narrative was crumbling in real time. Victor made another grab for my phone, and this time I wasn't quick enough. He snatched it and threw it to the ground, the screen shattering on the asphalt. You bastard! I shoved him hard, and he stumbled backward into the craft beer booth. Fight! Fight! Someone yelled, and suddenly everyone was pressing closer, phones out, eager for drama. Victor recovered his balance and swung at me, his fist catching me on the jaw. Pain exploded through my skull, but I stayed on my feet. Stop it! Dana screamed. Both of you, stop! But I was done being the reasonable one, done being the bigger person. 25 years of suppressed anger erupted as I tackled Victor, both of us crashing to the ground. We rolled around in the dirt, throwing wild punches while the crowd cheered and recorded. Victor was bigger than me, but I was angrier, fueled by months of humiliation and betrayal. Harold! Victor! Stop it right now! The voice cut through the chaos like a whip. We both froze, looking up to see Sheriff's Deputy Maria Santos standing over us with her hands on her hips. Both of you, get up, now. We disentangled ourselves, breathing hard and covered in dirt. My suit was ruined, and Victor's expensive shirt was torn. This is a family festival, Deputy Santos said sternly. You want to beat each other up? Do it somewhere else. I see either of you causing trouble again today. You're spending the night in jail. She walked away, leaving us standing there like chastened schoolboys. The crowd began to disperse, disappointed that the show was over. Dana was crying again, but this time I didn't think they were manipulative tears. She looked genuinely distressed, caught between two men who'd just made fools of themselves fighting over her. Are you happy now? She asked me. Is this what you wanted? To humiliate me in front of the whole town? I wanted the truth to come out, I said, wiping my split lip. Mission accomplished. I walked away, leaving Dana with her lying boyfriend and her diminished circle of supporters. My phone was destroyed, my suit was ruined, and my jaw ached like hell. But for the first time in weeks, I felt like I was winning. The video of our fight went viral locally within hours. By Sunday morning, it had been shared on every social media platform and forwarded through every group chat in town. The narrative was finally shifting. People were starting to see Dana as something other than an innocent victim, but I wasn't done yet. Monday morning, I drove to the courthouse and filed for divorce, citing adultery and irreconcilable differences. Then I visited my lawyer, Patricia Hendricks, a sharp woman in her 50s who specialized in messy divorces. You've certainly made this interesting, she said, reviewing the file I'd prepared. Most of my clients don't come in with this much documentation. I'm an accountant. Documentation is what I do. She flipped through the financial records, the screenshots, the evidence of Victor's lies, and Dana's affair. This is solid. With the adultery and the financial records showing your wife's business losses, we should be able to get you a favorable settlement. I don't want a settlement. I want everything. Patricia raised an eyebrow. Everything? The house, the cars, my retirement accounts, everything. She can keep her personal belongings and her debts. Harold, judges don't usually award everything to one spouse, even in cases of adultery. Then we make it so expensive for her to fight that she gives up. That afternoon, I had the divorce papers served to Dana at her flower shop. According to Miles, who heard it from a friend who was there, she broke down completely when the process server handed her the documents. But I still had one more move to make. The town's monthly business association meeting was held the first Wednesday of every month at the community center. As a longtime business owner, Dana never missed it. Neither did Victor, who served on the board despite his questionable business practices. I'd never attended one of these meetings before. My accounting practice was small, and I preferred to avoid local politics. But this month, I had something to say. I arrived early and took a seat in the back row. The meeting room filled up gradually. Shop owners, restaurant managers, service providers, all the people who kept our small-town economy running. Dana and Victor arrived together, taking seats near the front. Dana looked haggard, her usual perfect appearance replaced by dark circles under her eyes and clothes that looked like she'd slept in them. Victor kept checking his phone nervously. The meeting started with routine business, permit applications, upcoming events, budget discussions. I waited patiently through 45 minutes of municipal bureaucracy until they reached the final agenda item: community concerns and announcements. I stood up. I have an announcement. All heads turned toward me. Dana went pale when she saw me, and Victor's jaw tightened. Harold Keaton, CPA, I said, introducing myself to the room. I've been doing business in this town for 20 years, and I think it's important for the business community to know when one of our members is operating fraudulently. Sit down, Harold, Victor called out. This isn't the place. This is exactly the place. I walked to the front of the room, ignoring the murmurs from the audience. Victor Lane has been misrepresenting his business and personal status to potential customers and romantic partners. I pulled out a folder, copies of the documents I'd gathered over the past 2 weeks. Mr. Lane is currently under investigation by the IRS for tax evasion. His business license expires next month and may not be renewed due to unpaid municipal fees. He's been rolling back odometers on vehicles, which is federal fraud. And despite representing himself as single, he's been legally married to Rebecca Lane of Tampa, Florida since 1995. The room erupted in whispers and shocked exclamations. Victor shot to his feet. This is harassment. Harold's trying to destroy me because I'm dating his ex-wife. You're dating my current wife, I corrected. We're not divorced yet, which makes you an adulterer and her an adulteress. Dana stood up shakily. Harold, please stop. This is humiliating. The truth often is. I turned back to the room. I'm also announcing that I'll no longer be subsidizing Petals and Bloom's flower shop. For 15 years, I've been covering their losses, but that ends now. Any outstanding contracts or commitments should be verified directly with Ms. Dana Keaton, as she may not have the financial resources to fulfill them. You can't do this, Sonia Firth jumped up from her seat. You're destroying innocent people's livelihoods. I'm stopping my financial support of my wife's affair. If that destroys anything, it's because it wasn't sustainable in the first place. The room was in chaos now, everyone talking at once. The meeting chairman was banging his gavel, trying to restore order. But I wasn't finished. There's one more thing the business community should know about Sonia Firth. Sonia froze. What? I pulled out another set of documents. Ms. Firth has been embezzling from Petals and Blooms for the past 3 years. Fake invoices, inflated supplier costs, unauthorized credit card charges. I discovered it when I was reviewing the shop's finances for the divorce proceedings. That's a lie, Sonia screamed. It's all documented. Bank records, credit card statements, forged receipts. I've already turned copies over to the district attorney's office. Sonia went white as a sheet. She looked around the room desperately, then bolted for the door. Dana stared after her in shock. Sonia? Is it true? But Sonia was gone, leaving behind a room full of stunned business owners and one very satisfied accountant. The next few days were a blur of legal meetings, phone calls, and paperwork. Sonia Firth was arrested on embezzlement charges. Victor's car lot was raided by federal agents investigating odometer fraud. And Dana finally signed the divorce papers, too broken to fight anymore. The house was mine. The cars were mine. My retirement accounts remained untouched. Dana got her personal belongings and a mountain of business debt that she'd have to deal with on her own. But the real victory wasn't financial. It was the truth finally coming out. People who had shunned me started calling to apologize. Tom Martinez showed up at my door with a 6-pack of beer and a sheepish expression. I owe you an apology, he said. I should have listened to your side of the story. You believed your friend. I can't fault you for that. Dana wasn't just your friend, Harold. She was your wife. That should have counted for something. We sat on my porch, drinking beer and watching the sunset. It felt good to have a friend again. What are you going to do now? Tom asked. I'm thinking about early retirement. Maybe travel a little, see some places Dana never wanted to visit. She really did a number on you, didn't she? I considered the question. 25 years of marriage, gone. Most of my friends lost, at least temporarily. My daughter still wasn't speaking to me, though Miles said she was starting to come around. She did, I agreed. But she also freed me. The divorce was finalized on a cold December morning. I sat in the courthouse watching Dana sign the final papers with shaking hands. Victor wasn't there. He was in federal custody, awaiting trial. I'm sorry, Dana said quietly as we left the courtroom. For all of it. I know that doesn't change anything, but I needed to say it. It changes something, I replied. Not everything, but something. She nodded and walked away, carrying a single box of personal items from what used to be our shared life. I drove home to my empty house and poured myself a whiskey. The silence was profound. No Dana complaining about money, no phone calls about the flower shop's latest crisis, no tension crackling through the air like electricity. For the first time in 25 years, I was truly alone, and it felt like freedom. 6 months later, I was sitting on a beach in Costa Rica, reading a book and sipping a rum punch. My phone buzzed with a text from Miles. Dad, Tessa wants to apologize. She finally understands what really happened. Can she call you? I typed back, Of course. I love you both. The sun was setting over the Pacific, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink that Dana would have called tacky and overdone. I thought they were beautiful. My phone rang, Tessa's name on the caller ID. "Hi, sweetheart." "Dad?" Her voice was small, uncertain. "I'm so sorry. I was wrong about everything. I should have believed you. You believed your mother. That's what children do. But I'm not a child anymore. I should have seen what was really happening." We talked for an hour, rebuilding a relationship that had been damaged by lies and manipulation. When we hung up, I felt lighter than I had in years. The next morning, I got another call, this one from Brad at Murphy's Tavern. "Harold, you sitting down?" "I'm on a beach in Costa Rica. What's up?" "Dana's in jail." I sat up straighter. "What?" Turns out she knew about Sonia's embezzlement all along. They were partners in it. The DA found evidence that Dana was getting kickbacks from the fake invoices. She was arrested this morning. I felt a strange mix of vindication and sadness. Even after everything, I'd hoped Dana had been more victim than villain. "How long will she get?" Her lawyer's talking plea bargain. Probably 2 to 5 years if she cooperates. After we hung up, I sat staring at the ocean. Dana, beautiful, charming, manipulative Dana, would spend the next few years in prison. Victor was already there, serving 18 months for fraud. Sonia had gotten 3 years, and I was free. I raised my rum punch in a toast to the sunset. "To new beginnings," I said aloud. The waves crashed against the shore, washing away the footprints in the sand, leaving everything clean and fresh for tomorrow. For the first time in 25 years, tomorrow was mine alone to decide.